Hello, this is Mayor John LaBrosse, and I want to welcome you to our first Hackensack Progress Report video. The City Council and I will be discussing many of the ways that our community is moving forward on important issues that I know residents are interested in. From our downtown redevelopment plan, to the major improvements we've made to our parks and recreation facilities, to significant improvements to our roads and infrastructure, and much more. Hackensack's motto is a city in motion, and that has never been as appropriate as it is right now. We have so many major projects in motion that we want residents to be aware of, and you will hear much more on those issues soon. As we know, the past few months have been an incredibly difficult time for our city and for the whole country, as we have dealt with the COVID-19 crisis. I saw it up close every day working at Hackensack University Medical Center, which became one of the epicenters where doctors and nurses worked heroically day after day to save people. I could not be more proud of the work they did, along with our first responders and especially the residents of Hackensack who are continuing to make the sacrifices needed to keep us all safe. The city is working to continue enforcing social distancing rules while also doing what we can to support our local businesses, like allowing more outdoor dining and supporting our residents by helping them apply to relief programs. While COVID-19 has certainly been our main concern, it's not the only issue facing our city. Recently, the nationwide protests sparked by the death of George Floyd have sparked a movement to closely examine how our police departments operate and the relationships between officers and residents. I'm happy to say that the Hackensack Police Department use of force numbers have declined over the last 4 years, and we continue to work hard to keep those numbers going down. I want all Hackensack residents to know that we want everyone who makes up our diverse city, no matter your race, age, background, or any other factor, we want to work with you to make our community the best it can be. From revitalizing our downtown and making our city a destination, to improving our parks and public spaces, to investing in our future with smart improvements, to reducing the property tax burden on residents, we are here working hard for all of us. Thanks for watching Hackensack's first video progress report.
The City of Hackensack is committed to providing better service to its residents. Our police and fire department have made significant equipment improvements in the last year to better protect our residents and to keep our police, fire, and citizens safe. Both the police and fire department upgraded their radio systems. The fire department purchased a new heavy-duty rescue truck, thermal imaging cameras, and a Petzl, a confined space safety system that allows firefighters to safely jump out of dangerous buildings and other precarious situations. The police department purchased new tasers as part of the department's policy on using non-lethal force. Additionally, we have purchased a license plate sign reader, a security camera system in Carver Park, a new vac truck, and a state-of-the-art street sweeper called an Elgin Pelican that will ensure our city streets and parks are kept safe and clean. The city also purchased a replacement pump in the Mercer Street sewer system and 6 new parking enforcement vehicles for the parking enforcement officers. Altogether, these equipment upgrades will enhance our city services through better performance, safety, and quality.
Redeveloping our downtown area is one of our administration's highest priorities. Since taking office, we have worked to attract new investment to our city by offering targeted incentives to developers, reducing administrative red tape, and updating our zoning rules to encourage more walkable, mixed-use development along Main Street. The result is $1 billion in new real estate investment in Hackensack. And that means millions of dollars in new annual tax revenue that is helping us reduce property taxes on longtime residents and invest in city services. Many of these development projects were made possible by using payment in lieu of tax agreements, commonly known as pilots, without which we could not have attracted the kind of investments in our city that we are now seeing. There is a lot of misinformation out there about these pilot agreements that we feel it is important to clear up. First, residents should know that under a pilot agreement, the development still pays taxes to the city. In fact, by law, the amount paid to the city must be more than the land was paying prior to the development. The payments are negotiated over a 5, 10, 20, or 30-year period and are on a set schedule, which helps developers get the financing they need to build their projects. Every one of these developments is adding new tax revenue to the city. Take, for instance, this building on State and Warren. Before it was built, the property paid $78,000 per year. Now, under the pilot, it is paying $539,274 per year, an increase of approximately 600%. The largest current project in the city, at 150 Main Street, has a similar story. Previously, the property paid $237,000, and now it will pay $844,000 once it opens next year. Some of the projects are even being built on land that previously paid zero in property taxes. For instance, this development at 240 Main Street is now generating $277,425 in annual tax revenue, after paying nothing before development. Recently opened 18 East Camden was only paying $56,000 in taxes, and we are projecting over $700,000 in a pilot payment. In total, we are projecting an annual increase of nearly $7 million in new tax revenue from our current projects. In addition to creating jobs and reviving Main Street with thousands of new residents and many new local businesses, the primary benefit of redevelopment is the tax revenue. It allows the city to invest in important priorities, like providing a place for residents to enjoy the arts with our Hackensack Performing Arts Center. Plus, we are providing much-needed property tax relief to residents, thanks to new revenue from redevelopment and from the landmark agreement we reached with Hackensack University Medical Center for $4 million. We have reduced the property tax levy in each of the last 2 years and have a solid financial plan to continue lowering property taxes. That's the commitment that our city can continue to make, that we will protect our taxpayers, fund our services, and keep our city moving forward.
Hackensack is in the middle of a transformation, and it is an exciting time to be living here and raising children in our community. But while we are working hard on downtown redevelopment, we are also taking time to focus on the little things that make our city a better place for residents. One of those projects is our community garden, which was only started 2 years ago, and has since become one of the most successful initiatives we have had. Residents love being able to plant and grow their own vegetables, flowers, and other plants, and having the opportunity to get closer to nature, right here in our backyard. We've watched this site grow and grow, and thanks to the dedicated volunteers who help keep it running, it has been a great success. We're also working to improve our existing parks, like the major renovations being done at Stide Park, that will include a new pavilion with new facilities. This work is being made possible thanks to a $100,000 grant from the County of Bergen, and we are always looking for these kinds of alternative funding sources to allow us to do more with less from our taxpayers. We are also making long-anticipated improvements to our baseball and softball fields at Fashini Park, including mitigating flooding, raising Field 7, and installing lighting on multiple fields.
Over the past several years, the City of Hackensack has made significant investment in our roads and sewer infrastructure. Less flooding, a cleaner environment, less damage to our cars, and better quality of life for all of us. Paving our streets and roads has been a major focus area for our team. Since 2014, we have dramatically increased our annual road repaving program, and we are now paving approximately 14 roads per year with 70 total repaving roads in the last 5 years. We have worked systematically to address the streets most in need of improvement, and we have now covered the vast majority of our residential streets. One of the most significant projects we are working on is separating our sewer system to meet state and federal clean water mandates. While many other cities are struggling to complete this daunting task, Hackensack has worked proactively to make the process forward. The result is cleaner water in our surrounding areas, and less of an impact on our city budget and on taxpayers. Besides our local street, we also make a major investment in our downtown by converting both Main Street and State Street to two-way traffic. This is being done to encourage drivers to slow down when they are in our downtown area, making safer for pedestrians and drawing more foot traffic and vehicle traffic to our local restaurants and business. When we complete the two-way conversion, we will complement the redevelopment project in the area and make Main Street a walkable destination.
Making sure our children and our residents have a safe place to play sports is a huge goal of this administration. We've invested in our parks and recreation facilities, and those investments are helping local kids stay healthy, active, and out of trouble. Last year, we completed a major renovation of our rec center on Holt Street. I grew up in this building, playing and coaching basketball, and I knew that it needed to be updated. I'm so proud of the job we did to make this kind of place our kids deserve. With brand new indoor basketball courts, community meeting rooms for our seniors, and much more. The Recreation Center is a place where people from multiple generations can come together and enjoy themselves. As an elected official, nothing makes me prouder than being able to deliver this kind of progress. We've made other major investments in our parks, like the splash pad at Carver Park that gives local kids a place to cool off in the summer. Adding this kind of amenities help the whole neighborhood by giving kids a place they can walk to and enjoy all summer long. Another one of our main facility upgrades was at our beautiful Hackensack Performing Arts Center, or HACPAC. We took a Masonic temple, and thanks to the generous donations of many private sector partners and funding from the city, we created an outstanding performance space that is used by everything from nationally known musicians to community theater groups and much more. We believe the arts are an essential part of what makes Hackensack special, and HACPAC is the best example of that.
My name is Jim Mangan. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the City of Hackensack, and I have been since February of 2014. In my opinion, the administration's greatest achievement has been in the area of financial reform, which is something we started in on early in the administration, back in the very, very beginning of 2014. What had happened then was when the new administration came in, they brought new financial professionals. Tax appeal attorney, a new auditor, new CFO. And one of the things we learned was that the city had a tax appeal refund liability, a substantial one. It ended up being in excess of $40 million. And we were hit with that financial crisis very early on in the administration, which necessitated the need for a 5-year plan to address it. So that first 5-year plan, which encompassed from 2014 to 2018, was specifically designed to address the tax appeal refund liability issue. But what it did was it forced us to look for tax savings in other places. We had to raise taxes to pay off the liability, so it forced us to look to cut taxes anyplace else that we could. That meant that we had to look at everything: staff reductions, labor negotiations. What we had to do was we had to find new revenue. We had to overhaul our health benefit system. All these things were the first 5-year plan that we did. And in the course of that plan, while we were addressing the tax appeal refund issue, we were also addressing the tax assessment issue. And it forced us to also drive down the rate of tax increase. That plan culminated in 2018. We called it a success, and that's what led to the second 5-year plan, the property tax reduction plan. Now, In the first plan, we had gotten more efficient, and we were able to reduce the level of tax increases. So in the second 5-year plan, which was 2019 to 2023, the Finance Committee had directed us to eliminate tax increases. And right now we're in year 2 of that 5-year plan. So there was no municipal tax increase in 2019, no municipal tax increase in 2020. We're anticipating no municipal tax increase in 2021, although with COVID-19, truthfully, the jury is out. It's a challenge, but our plan is to meet that challenge. And likewise for 2022 and 2023. Now that second 5-year plan, the 5-year plan of financial reform, one of the areas where the first 5-year plan forced us to look at was the city's outstanding debt. And here's where this administration made a real break with the prior administration. The prior administration was reluctant to issue debt. Issue debt, means that you have to pay it back, which means you have to increase spending to pay it back, and you have to increase taxes to pay it back, and that's certainly understandable. But what we did in this administration was, instead of focusing on eliminating the debt, what we did was we focused on living within our means, our debt means. What that means is that we manage the debt, and our financial reform plan for debt management meant that we canceled as much as we could. We borrowed only what we needed. We sought other tools, other avenues for financing. We used the New Jersey iBank extensively. The iBank, is funding through the state of New Jersey, where 3/4 of what you borrow is interest-free. The 1/4 that has interest is issued through bonds issued by the iBank. They have a AAA rating, whereas the city has a AA2 credit rating. And by using the iBank, among the components of it, there's a principal forgiveness piece that we've taken advantage of. For our sewer separation, for example, in 2014, we're able to secure $1 million in principal forgiveness, which is very similar to a grant. We borrowed $4 million, but we're paying $3 million back. In 2019, we secured another $1 million in principal forgiveness. And right now in 2020, we've got an application pending, and we stand a very good chance of getting a $2 million principal forgiveness reduction in 2020. So as part of our debt management, what we did was we saw that we had to borrow money, because the city's infrastructure was really suffering. But what we said was that we were going to manage the debt so that the repayments stayed within the existing debt service budget. Said another way, what we said was no new taxes for capital improvements. All of the improvements that we were making were going to be within the existing budget. We weren't going to raise the budget at all to pay this debt down. And that allowed us to then invest in a lot of the city's infrastructures. For example, 2014, we did our first road improvement program, and right now, if I had to guess, since 2014, we've probably resurfaced at least 75% of the roads in the city of Hackensack. I don't know the exact number, but that's my guess. In addition, we've been working on separating the sewers, where our sewers are combined. The sanitary waste combines with the stormwater, which causes flooding, among other things. And by separating the sewers, that does a number of things. Along with alleviating flooding, it also alleviates the sanitary waste flowing into the Hackensack River, which reduces the polluting of the Hackensack River. That's a huge undertaking, and we're working on that right now. In the area of flooding, it's not just separating the sewers, but also the stormwater system. We know that there are a lot of stormwater lines within the city that are just inadequate. They're just too small. We get a substantial rain, it floods. Those storm lines need to be replaced with larger lines. In addition to that, for example, a couple of years ago, our DPW department bought a sewer vac truck, okay, so that their job is to use that to keep the sewer lines as clean as possible, which also alleviates flooding. There are a lot of things that we had to do in terms of the city's infrastructure. For example, garbage trucks. The whole fleet was really outdated. We've been replacing garbage trucks. We've been refurbishing garbage trucks. Along the same lines, I remember in 2014, our fleet of police cars was in really bad shape. In 2014, we secured 22 police cars in just 1 year through a combination of purchasing and leasing. But that's how bad the fleet was. And also, in terms of our debt management component of the financial reform plan, we were able to upgrade a number of facilities. We opened the Performing Arts Center. We renovated the M&M building. We put a lot of money into parks and playgrounds. We created the Atlantic Street Park, the Carver Street Splash Park. Right now, we're working on addressing the flooding conditions in Fashini Park, and we're also working on an overhaul of Johnson Park. And this is in addition to playground upgrades and things like that. Okay? These are all components of the same financial reform plan, the plan that allows us to reinvest in the city, okay, put forth more in services than we were able to do before, while simultaneously holding the line on taxes. Okay, as I said, no tax increase in 2019, none in 2020, and none foreseeable in 21, 22, or 23. Also, there was another part of the financial reform plan, the first part, where it forced us into efficiencies. What we had to do was, in order to offset the tax increase necessary for the tax appeal refund liability, we had to work with a smaller staff. And by working with a smaller staff, that forced departments to work more closely together than they ever had before. Definitely forced departments to communicate more than they ever had before. And that's worked out very well. That's created a lot of efficiencies for us. Now what we're doing is we're trying to take those efficiencies and we're trying to capitalize on them. For example, we're working on a lot more online services. We learned in COVID-19 that we've got a long way to go in terms of online services. A website that's interactive. A couple of years ago, we started the ability to pay your taxes with a credit card. That was followed up the following year with the ability to pay court fines with credit cards. And right now we're looking to expand that to rec programs, permits, fees, licenses, etc. And there's a number of areas like that that we're looking to in the future. Besides online services, things like digitalizing records management, or, as I said before, making the city's website more interactive.
Thanks for watching Hackensack's first video progress report.